Welcome to the Chef's Kitchen. I'm your host, Maria Valletta, and we're at the PBS 39 studios at the Steel Stacks in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania today with Executive Chef Michael Adams of the Bethlehem Hotel. Welcome to the show, Chef.
It's great to be here.
Great to have you. What are we going to make today?
We are going to do a great Arctic char dish with tomato onion confit, some Sorrel Creme Fraiche, and some, we're going to do some sweet garlic braised kale.
Ooh,
so
that sounds perfect for the season.
Yes, and the reason why I picked tomatoes, it's early in the season. However, this is what I like to do to tomatoes when they're not quite at their peak. So this will really bring out the flavor of the tomato and add a really nice dimension to the dish.
That's great. I can't wait to learn the technique.
So we're just going to take a little bit of olive oil.
Yep.
And we're going to add it to the pan, and then we are going to take a little bit of onion, and we're going to add some small diced onion. And what we're going to do with the onion is we're going to sweat it in the olive oil for about 10 minutes. And what we want to do with the lid on it, so you don't want to caramelize it. All we want to do is we want to sweat that raw flavor out of it and bring out the sweetness of the onion. So
now, are you using a sweet onion here like a Vidalia or just a regular onion?
White Spanish onion.
Okay.
Yep. And so we're going to add that to the pan. It's a little too hot. So
oh yeah.
we are going to let that cool down.
The stove gets hot very quickly.
In the meantime, we're going to take the tomatoes and we're just going to put them on the box grater.
Really?
And so we're going to grate these. And usually early in the season, they're a little bit firm. They're not as juicy. So you're going to have a nice meaty tomato. And you can use this, you can do this in the summertime. It's just, you really, at the peak of the season, you don't want to use, you don't want to grate them up, obviously. You slice them down and do very little to them. But when they're not at their peak, this is a great way to use tomatoes. And this tomato onion confit, you can use in lots of applications. So this base, you can actually take it and use it in a vinaigrette. So you can take the tomato and onion confit, add some balsamic vinegar and olive oil to it, puree it, and you can make a nice vinaigrette with it.
Gotta watch your fingers there, huh? But it's great because you're really not even using most of the skin. You're getting all the juicy inside.
You're getting all the pulp and all the juice. We have the tomatoes here, nice and pulpy, and we're gonna take the onions and we're gonna put them in the pan with the olive oil.
Cool down a bit. Woo, still hot though.
Yep, that's okay. And then we're gonna just put the lid on, and what'll happen as the water starts to come out, that's gonna steam, and then it won't caramelize. So we have the onions going.
We're not looking for that color. We just want it to stay white.
Correct. So you're just sweating that rawness out of it.
I had a dish that used tomato and onion confit, and it was actually a burger, and it was called the Paris burger. And they did this mushrooms and then a brie, and then did a tomato onion confit on the burger. It was
Sounds really
so good.
Sounds really good.
I can't wait to taste your version today.
So we want to make sure that this is not getting too hot. And we're just going to sweat this. I'm going to pull this off the heat. Okay, so in the meantime, we're going to do some sweet garlic braised kale.
Okay.
And I do have some garlic in the oven.
This kale looks very different than what I feel like I see in the supermarket.
Sure. So this variety is a red Russian kale. It does have a slight bitterness to it. But we're going to blanch that and we're going to cook that down with the sweet garlic and olive oil and a little bit of onion so that we take that bitterness away. And what's going to happen when we braise it, it's going to break down the cell structure. It's going to be really moist and tender. So for the roasted garlic, all we did was we took a little sea salt, olive oil, fresh thyme, put it in the oven at about 350 degrees for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
So we took
And you
care of
peeled
that
everything
stage.
first?
And we peeled the garlic right out of the skin and put it in there and ready to go.
Stay tuned for more from the Hotel Bethlehem. We're back with more from the Hotel Bethlehem.
And we're going to blanch the kale just for about 2 minutes.
So is this a dish that you have on the menu right now at the hotel?
So it's not now, but it will be.
Ooh.
And
we're doing a seasonal dish then.
Always. We change our menus, every 6 weeks at the hotel. And these happen to be at their peak. These actually grow all season, but in the summer when it gets real hot, they tend to get bitter. So the colder early spring is a really great time to eat kale, and fall you're going to get that sweetness out of it. But in the summer it tends to get bitter as the hot summer comes. So we're just going to blanch the kale a little bit, and at this point, again, a little bit of olive oil.
Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about the hotel. I know it's a historic building, so tell me maybe a little bit about the history about it.
It's in historic Hotel Bethlehem. It's right on Main Street, and we have amazing banquet facilities there.
Is it true it's been there since 1922?
It has been,
wow.
Yes. We do kind of like when they started the hotel, so they were sourcing all their ingredients locally, and we're doing the same today. And we do have 2 restaurants. We have the tap room, and we have the 1741 Terrace, which is our fine dining.
Does it actually
restaurant.
have a terrace to dine out on?
It's indoors.
An indoor terrace.
Huge windows that look over the historic section of Bethlehem, and it's amazing view and amazing room.
Now I was told I have to get there because you have the Wine Spectator Award for the wine list that you have there, and I'm such a big wine person, so that's definitely a big draw for me. But the food that you're making today, I mean, those people who live in Bethlehem have to just love coming as a local to the restaurant.
Lots of locals, and obviously we get lots of business travelers, and they all seem to really enjoy it. We're just going to take the kale out of the water.
But you're from this area, right?
I am. And the great thing about living here is that we are surrounded by plethora of farms, local cheese artisans, and produce and meats, and pretty much anything.
There is a lot of farmland out here. I know you have turkey farms, and I know that some of the fresh vegetables that you were telling me in the back, the carrots that were picked today for some of the other things you were making. And
so we're going to take this kale at this stage, and we're going to add fleur de sel, and then we're going to take just a little bit of veg stock.
Speaking of wine, Bill, this is Bill from South Italy Imports, and he has brought to the States an incredible portfolio of Italian wines. In fact, I think Hotel Bethlehem actually carries them.
We do.
Right,
Yes,
Bill?
they do.
And
yes.
Tell us a little bit about South Italy Imports, and then we'll get back to this veggie stock.
Yeah, so first of all, I've known about Michael's cooking. He's a superb chef, and I've known about his cooking for many years. And we've actually shown some wines before with some of his food, and he's spectacular. Our company actually originated back in 2001. I imported Italian food items, artisanal pastas from southern Italy, and whole peel tomatoes, extra virgin olive oil. And that kind of gravitated into, I obtained a wine importing license and started to import wines actually from all over Italy. I'm the exclusive importer for basically 95% of all the wines we have, including the one that we're going to have here later on.
Oh, that's right.
So,
You're going to
yeah,
join us for the tasting of your
yes, I
Russian
will.
wine. That's
Yes, I
great.
will.
Thanks,
Okay.
Bill.
All right, thank you. We'll see you later.
All right, so we're talking about veggie stock.
yeah.
Tell me about it.
So back to the veggie stock. So what I find is when people make veggie stock at home, they put it on the stove, they bring it up to a boil, and they let it cook too long.
Okay.
So if you want a nice, clear, really flavorful stock that's very mild, you're not going to get any bitterness from overcooking the vegetables in it, is you want to take boiling hot water. You want to have your vegetables in another sauce pot cold with aromatics, say bay leaf, peppercorn, thyme, smashed garlic, and of course celery, carrot, onion, and then maybe some tomato scraps if you're doing something with tomatoes. You pour that hot liquid over the veggie, all of the vegetables.
Yes.
You wrap it in plastic wrap and you just leave it steep for 20 minutes.
Really?
And then what's going to happen is you're going to get a nice clear, almost like a consomme type clear vegetable stock.
Wow.
So
That's a
if
great
you're looking
tip.
for that clear.
Thanks.
So coming back to the tomato on confit, these have been sweating for about 10 minutes,
smell
and you
the
can
thyme
see
you added.
no caramelization.
No.
You sweated out those onions, and then we're going to add the tomatoes that I grated into there.
So would you always use Roma tomatoes with this, or in the other seasons would you use heirloom or something
Sure,
like that?
of course. If heirlooms are available, I would definitely suggest my favorite is Brandywine tomatoes. I think they're the ultimate, the best tomato out there. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to add a little bit of sugar.
That's just going to help with
just sweeten it up. And
Balancing
again,
everything.
yep, the tomatoes early in the season are not at their peak, so we're just going to add a little sugar to sweeten up. And then what we want to do is we literally want to take a smashed clove of garlic.
I can smell that kale.
Smashed clove of garlic, and we're going to take 2 bay leaves, fresh bay leaves. We're going to split those in half.
I feel like fresh bay leaves are a little hard to find, so if you have to use dry, just pull them out.
That's fine. And then we're going to add about a half a cup of the olive oil, and we're just going to leave this cook for about 20 minutes. So you want on really low heat. And
so at this point, you want to use a really good extra virgin olive oil for the flavor, or something lighter? What do you think?
So no, something lighter. We're using Arbequina. It's extra virgin. However, you know, in this process, a neutral olive oil is fine because you're cooking it. So we have the tomatoes here, and we're just going to add a few sprigs of thyme again with the bay leaf.
It smells so good.
All right, and we're going to turn that on low, and that's just going to simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes.
Stay tuned for more with Chef Michael Adams. We're back with Chef Michael Adams of the Hotel Bethlehem.
Our next part is very simple. We have all these different dimensions going on now. We're just going to make something very simple, a Sorrel Creme Fraiche. So you have 2 options. If you want to save yourself some time, you can buy the creme fraiche. Creme fraiche is just, it's a cultured cream that has a very high butter fat content.
So you always make it fresh at the restaurant, then?
We do, we do. And all we're going to do to this is we're going to add a little bit of lemon zest to it.
How's everything looking, Chef?
Okay, confit is working nice.
Good.
We have the
How's the
braised
kale?
kale.
So do you have this on
looking good.
low, so it's not overcooked?
Very low. So
Yeah.
again, no, that's just gonna, by the time this is done, it's just gonna melt in your mouth. It's gonna be amazing. So we're literally taking the creme fraiche, and we're gonna take a little fleur de sel or sea salt, whatever you have at home. Incorporate this. And then we have a little micro sorrel. So sorrel is in the spinach family. It has a very sharp lemony flavor. And we're just gonna cut this up.
I really tasted it by itself. I mean, it's garnish, but it does
So
have a
and
lemony
a
flavor.
little earthy flavor to it, and we're just gonna let that. We're just gonna stir that right in, and this is gonna be our nice sauce for the seared Arctic char. All right, so our creme fraiche is complete.
All right, now on to the fish.
Obviously, it has the flesh of the color of salmon, but it doesn't have the fat content that wild salmon has. It's a little bit less,
Yes.
and it's a little firmer than, say, trout. So it's somewhere in between. But it is sustainably raised in Iceland. We're going to keep this very simple. We have all of these other dimensions going on, and we're just going to take, again, a little fleur de sel and some black pepper, just a touch. And we're going to sear this with the skin side down, and I always cook it with the skin on it. What's going to happen is by leaving the skin on it, you're going to retain moisture in the fish. You're going to have that nice flat layer to protect it from overcooking, and it's great for presentation. We're going to cook the char skin side down, and we're going to cook it right in the pan. Doesn't need any time in the oven. It's going to cook really fast. Okay, so we're just going to...
I'm glad that you're cooking char and you're mentioning the texture and talking about it, because I feel like some people who don't like salmon, they see the color and they think that they're not going to like this fish. And I always tell them, give it a chance, because it doesn't really taste like salmon. It's not a strong flavor.
Right.
And the texture can be just wonderful. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. When we're cooking the char, and by all means, if you like to use butter, use butter. You know, I prefer, olive oil. I like, in the summertime, I tend to gear towards olive oil. In the winter months, lots of duck fat, lots of butter, lard, kidding. So what we're going to do for the fish, now I highly recommend doing it this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of fresh thyme, and we're going to add some whole cloves of garlic, all right? So what you're going to do is you're essentially cooking the fish. You don't have to flip it over.
No?
Nope. And and here's what we're going to do. It's almost like when you baste the turkey in the oven for Thanksgiving. We're going to take a smashed clove of garlic, and then we're going to let that in the olive oil, it's not going to overpower because you're leaving the garlic whole.
Yep.
Obviously, if you like lots of garlic flavor, chop it up smaller. The smaller you cut it, the more garlic flavor you're going to have. So all we're going to do with this is we're going to take that fat, the olive oil, and we're going to baste the fish with it. So that hot oil is going to cook the fish. I'm going to add a little bit more.
Oh, that's great. That's a great tip.
And this is actually the way that we cook duck as well in the restaurant. The duck never goes in the oven. We do it on the stovetop. We're rendering all that duck fat, and you're basting as we're cooking it and rendering that skin off. You're basting the protein with the fat, and then at the same time you have all of these different aromatics going into the fish.
Smell it.
So do you smell
Yeah,
that?
the
Now you
thyme
got to watch
speed it
your
up.
heat on this.
Yeah.
You don't want to take it up too high. So again, regulate your heat, and we're just going to keep basting it.
So a good tip here is don't walk away from this one. You've
Don't
got to
walk
keep
away
an
from
eye on
this.
it.
No, this is going to be great, and it's going to, you're cooking it in fat, so it's going to, and all those aromatics, and it's just going to pick up those flavors, and it's going to be,
And good
it's going to
fat.
be awesome. Good fat. We have our kale, which is ready to go,
Yeah, that looks done.
and our sorrel creme fraiche, and we're going to save some of that sorrel for our garnish.
So what's the decor like? Is it a romantic restaurant?
So I would describe it as romantic. Amazing, huge windows looking out over historic Bethlehem and the old original tile floors. We have 60 seats in that restaurant, and then in our tap room, it's a little more casual and a little simpler dishes.
Do you have a bar in the tap room?
We do,
Nice.
we do. Nice beer selection, and of course, our Wine Spectator
Wine
wine
Spectator
list.
Award, wine
so
list.
that is great. Let's baste this char a little bit more,
All right.
and then like I said, I like it on the rarer side, so
I do too.
we're gonna keep it. We'll keep it that way. So baste it a few more times.
Stay tuned for more from the Hotel Bethlehem. We're back with Chef Michael Adams of the Hotel Bethlehem.
Here's the final plate. We have the nice sweet roasted garlic with the braised red Russian kale.
I love garlic. I mean, I guess, I can't be Italian and not love garlic, right?
This is true. All right. So we have that, and we have our tomato onion confit. Lots of olive oil.
I see
the
that.
Tomato. So we're just going to take that.
This smells so good. I can only imagine when you have riper tomatoes what it smells like.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
It's
amazing.
incredible.
Okay, so we have that, and then we have our char. And a nice crispy skin.
Oh, that looks gorgeous.
And
I was
we're
going to
just-
say, you don't typically serve it with two, do you? That'd be
No,
quite
no.
a healthy portion.
And then we have the creme fraiche, just a little bit on there, not too much.
Okay.
And then we have the gorgeous, now if you want to dress these, I recommend a little olive oil, salt, pepper. And then we're just going to take the micro sorrel and
That looks so
right on
beautiful,
top,
Chef.
and
Oh,
then we have our dish.
look at the colors,
And you
I
have
love it.
extra, if you like the sauce, you can add more sauce to it, but
I
just
think it
as
looks
is.
perfect the way it is. Can't wait to taste it. But before we do, we've got some wine. So I know Bill's going to be back to join us. So tell us about the wine you brought today, and I'll pour.
This particular wine is by Candidatus Maniago.
Can you say that again?
From Candidatus Maniago from the Friuli Venezia region of Italy, which is north of Venice about an hour, Butrio, Udine, and it's actually been in the same family for over 600 years. This wine is called Ronco Broio. Ronco Broio is a combination of Pinot Bianco and Friulano grapes, and they're picked late in the harvest, and they're put on drying mats for 40 days. It's called raisioning. And then they're put in a combination of French and Slovenian oak,
You can smell the French oak.
small barrique and larger oak. Smaller barrels will put the wine in more contact with the oak, larger barrels, less contact. And that's for about 26 months. And then they put it in bottles to rest for about 6 months before they package it and send it out.
Let's try
This is
it.
one of my all-time
One of your
favorites.
all-time favorites.
Candidatus Maniago Ronco Broio.
That's wonderful, and I think it's going to be great with this fish. Just because the wine itself has so much body, and I think the richness of the fish here is going to be perfect. Dig in, guys.
Yes, and you won't.
Come on, I need some help. Someone's got to puncture that
Yeah.
side so I can get this side, or it's going to fly off the plate.
This red Russian kale.
That fish is so tender. I think it's cooked perfectly.
Yeah, I don't mess around.
No, you don't. Oh, chef. And the crunchy skin, is that a knockout or what?
I love Arctic char.
I do too. I really do. It's become a favorite
You don't find
fish
it
of mine.
much.
I'm hunting it down. I'm going to make this recipe, chef. It's so great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us at the Chef Kitchen, and I hope to come visit you at the Hotel Bethlehem at 1741.
Look forward to seeing you.
Cheers. Thank you,
Thank
Bill.
you.
The Lehigh Valley's premier hotel, the historic Hotel Bethlehem, is perfect for any stay. With 128 rooms and suites, 24-hour room service, and a fully equipped fitness center, historic Hotel Bethlehem is sure to impress. Inside are 2 beautiful ballrooms, ample meeting space, and 2 restaurants by notable chef Michael Adams. 1741 on the terrace, a farm-to-table dining experience, and the Tap Room, a casual restaurant open all day. On your next trip, stay with us and feel at home at the historic Hotel Bethlehem.
Cook something from the show? Went to a restaurant that you loved? Found a place serving innovative cocktails or impressive wine? Become a fan of the Chef's Kitchen on Facebook and share your thoughts.